Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. In today's video, we have a lot to cover. Jamie Carragher weighs in on the disparity between Enzo Maresca, Chelsea's Champions League hopes, and the fans. There's some Cole Palmer drama, which we're going to cover later in the video, so make sure you watch the end. Chelsea have some new transfer targets, some of the same transfer targets, and an academy player signs a new contract. So, of course, we are going to be covering the news, and I'm going to be giving my opinion, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comment section. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10k by the end of 2025. So kicking things off on Sky Sports, Jamie Carragher had a lot to say about Chelsea not getting Champions League football. And he said, Jamie Carragher says Chelsea are not getting UCL football again this season due to the unrest between the fans and the manager. Carragher says the fans do not have a connection to Maresca, unlike Newcastle and Forest fans do with their manager. He goes on to say there is absolutely no connection between the supporters and Enzo Maresca. That second goal that Sanchez decided to go long because of the fans, and then he kicks it into the best centre-back in the air who wins the header. Chalobah's positioning is ridiculous. He's supposed to be a right-back in that sequence. Enzo and Caicedo scream at Sanchez to keep playing the way, but he's been influenced by the fans, which shouldn't happen, but that's because they have no connection with Maresca in the dugout. I think Jamie Carragher is actually spot on in this specific scenario. If you watch the video that was attached that Carragher was kind of analysing, step by step, he's spot on. Now, I know that Jamie Carragher has said a lot of things in the past, whether you agree or disagree, but in this instance, I do actually agree with him because the fans do not have a connection with Enzo Maresca. Our fan base is so split right now. Enzo Maresca out, keep Enzo Maresca in, owners out. It's a process. We have a young squad. We have to back them. There's just a disparity of the atmosphere at Stamford Bridge. It's toxic. We understand why it's toxic because match-going fans are just had enough of the football that's being played. So he has a point. And when you actually watch the clip, you can see that Enzo and Caicedo are saying, what are you doing, Sanchez? We're not set up for this. Play the way that we've been taught. You can even see Sanchez in the clip telling the fans to calm down because they're jeering him so much. He's like, calm down. Everyone else get up. Let's go long. And it just starts off this sequence where, as Carragher says, we're just not prepared for. And when he, does the whole split screen and singles things out, Chalobah's natural instincts in that sort of sequence is to be a centre-back, which allows lots of space on the right-hand side, which, Ipswich exploit, and then obviously we concede from in that pattern of play. Now, am I saying that the fans are the reason we conceded? No. I did a video on that yesterday, and I think it's ridiculous to blame the fans for us conceding a goal and blaming the fans, or at least insinuating that it's the fans' problem while we're not playing well. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. If you're a match-going fan, you're entitled to your opinion. However, there is a line to be drawn. There is a line to be drawn, even within our own fan base. I've been a Chelsea fan all my life, and I meet other Chelsea fans, whether it's online, in person, through friends, whatever. Everyone has their own opinion, even if it's the same football club. And that's why I love football. It is a place where everyone can share opinions. It's why I love this community so much, because we can have a discourse about our football club. And there's a split in the Chelsea fans. I get told I'm an idiot because I don't feel like it's the right time to sack Enzo Maresca with 7 games left. But I fully understand people's frustrations with Enzo. I have the same frustrations. But until the sporting directors are changed, I don't see any issue with keeping Maresca, because if they sack him right now, the same sporting directors that hired him are going to hire another Enzo Maresca, and that's the problem. So Enzo Maresca is not blameless. We've gone through this time and time again throughout this whole season. He's stubborn, he's one-dimensional, he's rigid, he doesn't adapt to things. We know, we get that. And blaming the fans is just an idiotic thing to do. You don't start a fight with the fans because they're one of the last remaining pillars of the football club that demand high standards. However, do I think a portion of the fans are extremely entitled? 100%. 100%. They're stuck in the past and they are entitled because they expect unbeaten seasons, 5-0 every game, like Jose Mourinho football 20 years later, right? And that's cool if that's what you expect. Unfortunately, we are not that club anymore. And of course, I am also a fan. I can see it from most angles, and I like to see myself as a optimistic fan, but also very balanced and can see the good and the bad in things. But what Enzo Maresca, what Jamie Carragher is saying in this instance about us not getting Champions League football, I mean, look at the run in of games that we have. Do you really think we're going to get Champions League football? I think we're going to struggle to get top 5. Am I still optimistic? Do I still want us to try and push for it and try and achieve it? Yeah, of course I do. Do I deep down think we're going to do it? Nowhere near as much as I did before the Ipswich game, because that was almost a guaranteed 3 points as long as we turned up and played football, and look how that went. So I think Carragher has a point here. I think he makes some very good sort of breakdowns about it. I want to know what you guys think. Do you think there's a discourse between Maresca, Chelsea as a club, and also the players and the fans? Do you think this is just all a mess? Because right now I just think it's a circus. I think it's a mess, and there's problems from all the way from the top all the way to the bottom. Moving on to some even better news, Anthony Taylor will be in charge of Fulham versus Chelsea, which is just great. When you're chasing points and you need to win these games, you want Anthony Taylor reffing your game. So look, I don't know what hasn't been said about Anthony Taylor. We all have pretty much a unanimous opinion on Anthony Taylor. He makes it all about him. He's got main character syndrome. I am just hoping and praying that during the Fulham game, he doesn't do anything stupid to make it all about him, and he plays a fair game, because that's just what we need. We need to go out and perform. It's going to be a tough game anyway, and we don't want to be facing 12 men rather than 11. So unfortunately, he has to referee some games. I still don't understand how he referees top flight games. However, he is going to be reffing the Fulham game this Sunday, so it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Ben Jacobs has reported that Chelsea have Dean Huijsen particularly high in their thinking, and Mark Guéhi's another option for them. These two players have been circulating the Chelsea PR since last summer, and quite frankly, I've said my piece on both of these players time and time again. I'm just getting bored of it. I'm just getting bored of it, and I want to know your guys' opinions about these two players. Would I take them? Yes, I would. Who would I rather? Mark Guéhi, probably. Dean Huijsen is a baller, by the way. But Mark Guéhi has connections to the club, come through the academy. I think he's got the experience. He's played for England. I know Huijsen's played for Spain and things like that. Look, we've been after these two or linked with them for such a long time. Mark Guéhi especially. So I think that we should go in for someone like Mark Guéhi. I think he'll be a great addition to our defence. We clearly need another centre-back, because, again, our centre-back situations, they're wild. They're absolutely wild. You've got Badiashile, who I don't think is good enough. Colwell, who's been on fraud watch for months, and to be honest, I don't think he's good enough. He's still young and can develop, of course. I'm not writing him off completely, but I think there's a lot of pressure on him for a youngster who's made constant mistakes this season. He has had some good moments, don't get me wrong, and his line-breaking passes are a cheat code at times, but I still think we need more stability in that centre-back position. Axel Disasi we're looking to offload. Chalobah, I think, is a great sort of backup option and a good addition to have in that back line. Clearly not a right back, but at centre back, we've got Tosin, who has his moments. I think he's relatively solid, but he's too slow to be a recovery defender. Obviously, we're building it around Fofana and Colwell, and they've only played a very limited batch of games together because Fofana can't stay fit. So we're going to need some, removal of centre-backs and additions of centre-backs. I think Mark Guéhi or Dean Huijsen are very good options to replace that hole at centre-back. But let me know your thoughts down below. Plettigol have reported that Chelsea are closely monitoring Jorginho Rutter's progress at Brighton and have added him to their transfer shortlist. Again, we're linked with anyone that can kick a football. Absolutely anyone. If they're from Brighton, we'll play a premium for that. Don't you worry. We'll buy the seats out the stadium. Not a problem. We might as well take the sign off of it while we're at it. We know the history we have with Brighton Football Club and how much money we've given them over the years. It is ridiculous. We've basically funded their football club for the next generation. It's just crazy. Do I want Rutter? I think he's a good player. Again, I think at this point, we just need to improve the squad. We need to get rid of the deadwood. We need to settle on the actual spine, and we need to just improve this summer. Chelsea want to secure a lot of signings before the Club World Cup. Will Rutter be one of those transfers that happen? I don't think so, but I wouldn't put it past them. They were flirting with Garnacho in January window, and he's been reduced to about 30, 40 million now, which is just wild. I want to get rid of him. Chelsea will probably be sniffing around again. So it doesn't surprise me he's on the list, because we must have the world's longest list of transfer targets. Do I think he improves the squad? I don't think he's first teamer, personally. And again, you can let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I don't think he's a first teamer. I think he'd be a good squad player, but I don't know where he fits in the system. Is he the right profile? I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting news that we are monitoring his progress, because we monitor everyone's progress. And this summer, it can either go very, very well for us or be an incredible mess. Chelsea have announced that academy defender Ishi Samuel Smith has signed a contract till 2031. Now, this is massive, Masses for Sam Smith as well. He's signing his pro contract. He's extending it to 2031. Congratulations to him. We always promote from the academy, promote from within. And Chelsea is a very good club now to showcase that we will give the kids a chance. We've done it for a number of years now. And I think this is absolutely brilliant. I think it should always be highlighted as well that when we have academy guys coming through, it needs to be celebrated. So congratulations to Samuel Smith. Longer contract till 2031. Hopefully he can get more minutes and more game time and burst into the Chelsea first team, because it'd be really good to see, when we see the likes of Tyreek George, Ashimpong, and all these other academy players getting more minutes. It's just strengthening their CV, strengthening their confidence, showing that they can do it at a higher level, and hopefully they can become part of the mix. Tyreek George and Ashimpong are technically first team players now. They're in that first team squad. And that's just, again, promoting from within, from the academy all the way up into the first team squad, and they've just got to lock down their place. And I'd like to see the likes of Ashimpong and Tyreek George start more games, if I'm being honest. They deserve more minutes. So I'm just super happy when we have academy players signing contracts and coming through, because obviously they're good enough. They've got a lot of potential. There's still a long way to go for them to be in the first 11, but hopefully this can be a name that we see pop up more frequently. Kieran Gill has reported that Enzo Maresca is safe and there is no consideration for another managerial change. Full focus on the run-in. I mean, did we expect anything different? We know the hot water that Maresca is in right now, and we've also got the Cole Palmer drama to talk about after this, so make sure you're still watching, because, again, that's another situation. Enzo Maresca is in hot water for going at the fans. I think it's incredibly disrespectful to be doing that. We know the results haven't been good enough, and I don't think there's been a single point in the season where he's looked inwards and took accountability for things. It's always someone else's problem, or it seems to be. I don't see why they would be considering another manager, because like I said at the start of this video, the sporting directors hired this guy. The sporting directors are trying to deliver what they're expected to deliver. They still see Maresca as the long-term manager, long-term project guy, and they want to judge him at the end of the season. I think that's fair enough. I mean, we've got 7 games left. Look, if you sack someone now, it literally makes no sense to do that. And some people say, they get a running start for the Club World Cup and the pre-season, etc. next season. I get that, but realistically, if there's the same sporting directors and they're still in a job, because we don't know how they're still in a job with the recruitment that they've been doing over the last 3 or 4 windows, it's been horrendous, even longer to be fair. They have had a few wins, which I'll give them credit for, but a lot of them have just been misses, let's be honest. Of course they're not considering another managerial change, because Enzo Maresca is their man, and everything has to work. It has to work with Maresca. I remember a lot of creators, a lot of fans, just in general, the consensus was when they hired Maresca, if it goes wrong with Maresca, it is not his fault, it's the director's fault, because they have specifically hired this dude. And if they get it wrong and Maresca isn't good enough, the blame doesn't go on him, or, partially, but not all of it. It goes on the directors, and they have to go. And I'm still a firm believer of that. Am I happy with Maresca's performance? Start the season? Yes, obviously. The last few months? Obviously not. It's just not been going our way, and we are trying to battle into the top 5. Top 4 and Conference League trophy. That's what we're trying to do. And we've still got to the end of the season. I'm fairly optimistic that we can get some points. I'm not saying we're going to go on an unbeaten run like last year. But of course they're not looking at another managerial change. Why would they? Because if they do that, they have to admit that they're wrong, and it would put their job on their heads on the chopping block. So just thought it was interesting that it's being reported, because again, it's something from the Chelsea PR machine to say that everything's fine. Everything's fine, and so it's a hunky-dory, sunsets and rainbows. And finally, the Cole Palmer drama. Now, I find this quite funny because we know how the internet works, right? We know how the internet works. They take something, they run with it. Cole Palmer put this on his story earlier today, and it's the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of this game this time last year, where Cole Palmer scored this absolutely stunning goal where, the nutmeg, the little back heel flick round, 1-2 with Jackson, and that first time curled finish into the bottom corner. But he's used the caption enjoyment with a smiley face, and fans have taken this and ran with it, especially with what Enzo Maresca said in the press conference the other day about blaming the fans and the environment not being right, which again has obviously rattled fans, rightfully so as well. And now fans are like, oh look, he's calling shots at Maresca and saying, he doesn't enjoy playing under him, he prefers it under Poch. And I'm just going to give my opinion, and I want to know your opinions down below in the comment section. Now, I remember there being some sort of YouTube video. I don't know whether it was through Chelsea themselves or Sky Sports. Potentially, it was one or the other. They did an interview, Gianfranco Zola and Cole Palmer, and they were doing free kicks together and just having like a little interview chat in between. And I remember Cole Palmer saying that this is his favourite goal. It's his favourite goal because of the fluidity of it. He enjoyed it. I think he even used the word enjoyment as well, so it kind of makes sense why he would use it as his caption. He was just said for him, it's just like the perfect goal. You know, it's the nutmeg, it's the flair about it, the one-touch finish, the link-up play. That's his favourite goal. So I don't think there's too much in it, if I'm being honest. I think he's just, you know, resharing something that the club have put out, saying 1 year ago today, Palmer scored this goal, and he's like, yeah, I loved that goal, I enjoyed it. Did he enjoy playing under Pochettino more than Maresca? Only he would know, right? Only he would know that. We can only make assumptions. You know, this season, I think he's got like 8 assists and 14 Premier League goals. Last season, I think he had like 34 engagements in 32 games or something. But he also scored like 9 penalties last year. And this year he's had significantly less. So, you know, I still think he's a world-class player that's going through a really rough patch. And, you know, we can all see that he needs to get back on his game, because it's been months since he scored a goal, which is quite frightening, to be honest. But I don't think there's too much in this, really. I think it's just something that the fans have taken and ran with. And I get it. It's like I said, it's how the internet works. I think he's just saying, like, yeah, I remember this day. I really enjoyed this goal. You know, memes. You know, that's what I personally think. Is it a dig at Maresca? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. It potentially could be. It could be his way of saying, I really don't like playing under Maresca and I enjoy playing under Poch. And from the outside looking in, you could see why, because Pochettino gave him the freedom to kind of do what he want and be that maverick and be that creative, and expects him to kind of create something out of nothing when we needed it. And this year it's under Maresca, it's very systematic, it's very tactic driven, it's different positions and things. But on a stats basis, the seasons are fairly similar. So like, I don't know. I think he's still improved as a player this season. You know, a lot of people say that first 6 months is sort of like muscle memory from Poch's era at the end of the season. I don't know. I think it was Enzo Maresca's system with this bunch of players who had a lot of confidence at the back end of the season, and Maresca's system and tactics wasn't figured out then. So teams were pushing and pressing us high, and we were able to exploit that, score goals for fun, and outscore teams. And then they started tweaking on, and now that's when we've had this issue of not being able to adjust and having a rigid system, and not having the answer to people just sticking 11 people in the box in the central low block, right? But I don't think there's much in this. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on it down below in the comment section. Is Cole Palmer taking a shot at Maresca, or is he just saying, yo, I really love this goal? So that's the latest Chelsea news. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported. What are your thoughts on Jamie Carragher's comments around the no Champions League, the disparity between Enzo Maresca and the fans, and the club in general? What are your thoughts on the Cole Palmer drama? What are your thoughts on Mark Gahey and the Dean Hewson stuff? Are you excited for Samuel Smith, who's just signed a new contract to 2031? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you are a real one. And secondly, there will be a thumbnail that pops up on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.